Welcome back to Cheddar, everyone. Joining us now is Alex Kenjeev, president of O'Leary Ventures, a company created by well-known Shark Tanker Kevin O'Leary. It's so great to have you, Alex. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Just wrapped the 8th season, right, of Shark Tank. O'Leary Ventures making investments along the way, you're here to talk to us about some of the recent ones, among other topics. But can we start with the Potato Parcel? That's what it's called?
Potato Parcel, that's right. You know, I figured Cheddar is all about millennials.
Yes.
So, you know, this is something that I think everybody can relate to. In fact, I brought some gifts. I come bearing gifts for you guys.
What do you have for us today?
This is an example of American innovation at its finest. A little gift for you.
Oh, thanks.
And I have one for you as well.
All right.
Kori, this is for you. A couple potato parcels for you guys.
Should I open it?
Oh, yeah, you should definitely open it.
I've never gotten a potato before, so I'm actually really excited.
No, I mean, it's, you know,
it's the little things in life.
People talk about creating an app or, a social media platform. We're changing people's lives one potato at a time. That's what we're all about.
So, right, the deal is with these.
Yeah.
I gotta work hard to get this open here.
Yeah,
but the deal is that you can send a message, I think, as
that's
we're in the show.
so good. It's my own picture.
There you go. And, and people send these with whatever message they want. People come up with every pun you could imagine to send.
That's so funny.
So this is called the Potato Pal.
Right.
There's a little bit of an upcharge to have your face on it, but I'll invoice you guys later.
You're bringing out the big guns for this show.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is a great picture too.
It's because we care, and I brought you a little prop for your set as well.
Oh, look at that.
Okay, right. So if people haven't connected the dots here, the deal with this Potato Parcel is that you can send a message to a friend, to anyone, right, in the mail. In comes the parcel part with a message. Is it written on here, stamped on here?
That's right. It's written on in a non-toxic Sharpie, although we don't recommend eating the potatoes.
You don't recommend eating it?
We do not. We do not.
Even after you clean it, still no?
I mean, I suppose you could, but isn't it better to have it as your friend?
Are they organic potatoes?
They are. Yeah.
So I guess if you got really hungry, you could eat it. How long? You're a spokesperson for the Potato Parcel. So why the Potato Parcel? Why are you so bullish on it?
You know, I'm very bullish on Potato Parcel. It's actually a great story. I love the story because the guy who brought it to Shark Tank actually didn't found the company. He actually bought it, believe it or not. And I think it's really interesting because a lot of people don't know that just the same way you could buy a car or a condo, you can actually buy a small business. And in this case, he paid about 40 grand. He took out a loan, right? And I was just doing some back of the envelope this morning. I think the business is worth about $1.5 to $2 million today. And that was 6 months ago. So not a bad investment by this young man, and he's in his 20s.
Yeah, not a bad investment. Our other companies, though, that you guys are invested in at our O'Leary Ventures include Plated, IQ Zone, Dig It. What really makes these companies so special and unique, like Potato Parcel?
What I've learned is that the best companies on Shark Tank are the ones that learn how to manage their working capital. It's a bit of a complex concept to understand, but basically, if you're spending everything on inventory before you make sales, you're screwed. You can't, it's sort of oversimplifying, but the ones that make it, like we have a company called Love Pop Cards, worth about 15 million today, I think. And they become absolute masters at managing their inventory. So they order just the right amount of cards that they need for the next month all the time. And so they don't constantly have to raise more money than they need. Reduces your dilution and reduces your financial risk.
Okay, so you're bullish on the Potato Parcel going forward here. Now, I'd imagine, too, you can write longer messages on these. I mean, it's a year-round thing, right?
It's a year-round thing, and, it's great because, you go online, it's $9.99, and it's hilarious. People remember, they tag their friends, right? It's just fun and easy. It's interesting, too, because people talk a lot about, you can only start your own business if you have, a patentable, technology. That's not true. I mean, here's a guy who works his butt off to make this thing work. I mean, anybody could make a potato with a Sharpie, right? But not everyone is. And in fact, there is some competition, but there's only one Potato Parcel.
There is. I want to talk to you a little bit about Postmates CEOs testifying before Congress, all about exploring how tech has changed delivery services. And Potato Parcel, one of these companies that obviously is going to be using more and more delivery services. What are some of the regulatory hurdles that you see right now that's really kind of stopping or slowing down the delivery part of the business?
I think it's a big, even bigger story than that. I think we're talking about automation, right, replacing jobs in every industry you can imagine, retail, manufacturing, and delivery is kind of the thin edge of the wedge. I don't foresee a lot of issues. I think Congress will figure out how to regulate drone delivery. I think the bigger question is, are we thinking the right way about all the different jobs and industries that are going to change dramatically? I was reading last night that PricewaterhouseCoopers estimates that 38% of American jobs across all industries will be threatened by automation within 15 years. 38%. And so people talk about, oh, we're going to lose jobs from immigration, we're going to lose jobs from all these sort of red herrings. The big elephant in the room is actually a robotic elephant. And it's coming. The robots are coming.
So then how does that change your investment philosophy or your investing principles? Does that change it, right, with so many things, with things, as many futurists would say, happening exponentially faster?
Absolutely. I mean, we're always thinking about which of our companies are positioned to take advantage of these trends as an opportunity versus which ones are threatened and how can they adapt and change. And it's something that I think all investors think about.
Consumer products, obviously, big for you in terms of
very
investments.
Big, yeah.
But then adding again the technology standpoint, right? I mean, I'm thinking of this $100 billion fund, a SoftBank fund eventually, right? That will be investing exclusively in technology companies. And even though people might be able to create an augmented reality potato and give it to their friends or something, I mean, how do you look at the consumer space and where are the opportunities that you think are there?
I think, there's a lot to be said about authenticity, right? Companies are scrambling to try and be authentic, be real, right? And so, that's one of the reasons we love Shark Tank, because you can't get on that show if you're not passionate and if you don't really represent and live and breathe, your product every day. Just as one example, Riyadh, who runs Potato Parcel, is so obsessed with this product. I mean, it sounds like, a little joke, but, it's a serious business, and every day he's becoming more and more of an expert in, how to reach that audience, how to engage with people, how to make an emotional connection that's also humorous and lighthearted, et cetera. It's not easy, right? I don't think Starbucks could make a potato. It just wouldn't work. It wouldn't be as funny.
Well, at O'Leary Ventures, what are some other companies, I mean, outside of Shark Tank, those aren't that's not the only companies that you guys invest on that are on the show. What are some other companies that are out there that are really sparking your attention?
I think, we look for companies that have that authentic connection with people, like I mentioned. So, some of the really interesting companies. We just closed a deal called Wine and Design, just closed a couple weeks ago, which is an experience company where you go and you paint and you do other arts and crafts and you also drink wine, right? And so, that's a really interesting company we just closed. We've got a big portfolio. We've got about 25 companies now. So, and actually we've done quite well. I think 2 or 3 are down and the rest are up. Quite remarkable.
And how broad? How many investments in total? How big is the portfolio?
Last I counted, it was around 25.
Okay, so in terms of VC and the VC climate right now too, many people saying if you're a company, it makes sense to raise money right now, to be out there trying to seek money. Are you seeing more or less pitches come in? How do you kind of gauge that demand?
It's interesting. I think for a good company with a solid product, solid plan, and stable earnings, you can go out and raise money today, no problem. In fact, there's more money looking for deals than there are good deals looking for money. The problem is, there's often a big gap in terms of valuation, right, terms, et cetera. So, you mentioned Postmates earlier. A few months ago, they closed a financing round flat, right? They raised money at the same valuation as before. That's not good. And so, can you raise money? Yes. Can you get the same crazy deal terms that you were able to get in 2010? Definitely not.
Talk to me about the broader VC environment, though. You talked about investing, maybe their companies aren't out there, but in 2016, we saw a huge slowdown in VCs really putting in money into new companies. And even Bill Gurley, very famed investor, said, hey, the days of the unicorn companies are kind of gone and dead, especially in Silicon Valley. Like, we're not going to see any more of those billion-dollar valuation
that's nonsense.
companies.
Who said that? No way. That's ridiculous. No. Of course there's going to be more unicorns. What you can't do is know which ones they are ahead of time, right? Hindsight bias, right? Hindsight is 20/20. So, I mean, can I tell you today which out of 1,000 Silicon Valley companies will be the next billion-dollar one? No. But if you're going to tell me that will be no more billion-dollar companies, I mean, that's just absurd.
I think he meant there was more of a slowdown because, I mean, we did have a spike where it seemed like there were a lot of these unicorn companies popping up, and he's saying, hey, there's a major pullback because investors specifically aren't necessarily so willing to give money to these unicorn companies because a lot of them were reaching those billion-dollar valuations and then kind of falling off a cliff.
Right. I think what you're identifying here is the company really worth $1 billion, or are we just pretending that it is?
And I think maybe that's what he was referring to as well.
Yeah, and I think that is right. I mean, there are companies that are overvalued. You can't get away with $1 billion fundraise today if you don't have, stable, predictable, recurring revenue, in the hundreds of millions, as you should.
From a VC perspective, right? If a company does raise money now in the current climate at a valuation that is the same, right, as maybe their previous round, how do you look at that? Is that sort of the new norm?
It appears to be.
Is it a red flag to you down the road?
I mean, traditionally, yes. I mean, obviously they had to do it. It is what it is. I think, investors are injecting a strong dose of reality into a lot of these entrepreneurs, and it's very sobering. I think, Shark Tank plays a role in that too. People are learning that you can't just put any number you want on a company. There has to be some basis in reality, or so we would expect.
I have an insider Shark Tank question before I let you go, because I do actually know, I don't know why, random, like 3 different people that have been on Shark Tank.
Yeah.
And one of them actually said that they won investment. I can't remember from which shark, but like in the end, they actually didn't get the money. What happens after the show? Mm-hmm. Do all the companies not really get the investment that the sharks say that they're going to get?
That's a great question, and the answer is no. That is the beginning of a journey, and then they have to pass due diligence, negotiation, et cetera. And it's a two-way street, right? There are companies where, we look under the hood and there are problems and it doesn't work. And there are also companies where they change their mind, they get cold feet, et cetera. It is a bit of a dance. I will say that on Shark Tank, a much higher percentage of deals do close compared to, let's say, in the normal, outside of television. If you get a term sheet or an expression of interest from an investor, that's not the end of your journey either, right? So I don't think it's any different from real life, but it is interesting that some people don't realize that, yeah, guess what? A 20-minute conversation is not the end. You do have to figure out
the magic of TV. They make everyone think that they're getting the money when a shark wants to invest.
But don't get me wrong, many, many, many companies do close. I think probably about half do close, and that's a very high number. I mean, that's a number we're proud of.
All right, Alex Kenjeev, president of O'Leary Ventures, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you both.